Hi, my name is Anand, and I'm helping facilitate the Bloomington Normal A Course in Miracles book discussion group. And we just started learning A Course in Miracles. And in our first class or first discussion group, we went over kind of an introduction to what the book A Course in Miracles is, how it came to be, kind of what the layout is. And we read through the preface. And so what I'm going to talk about today is what we went over in our last session, which was on Tuesday, February 12th. And the reason I'm making this video is for those who missed it, and for those who may want to join us in the future, or who do join us in the future and would like to kind of hear a little bit about what we talked about during the group, just for more clarification. If when we start reading A Course in Miracles for the first time, there are a lot of foundational principles. Even if it's not the first time, there's a lot of foundational principles that are laid out very early on in the text. And I think that some elaboration on those concepts is helpful right from the get-go. So without further ado, let's start reading. So what I would suggest for you is if you have a book with you, get it out, have it in front of you, and turn to the introduction of A Course in Miracles, the introduction to the text. So I am going to look for that here, and we will start our discussion, or maybe my discussion about the introduction. So to introduce the introduction, really, which is what I would like to do, is to really mention kind of one thing that I mentioned in our first get-together, when we got together to read A Course in Miracles for the very first time, is I mentioned that when A Course in Miracles was written, the person who wrote it, she had a voice in her mind, and that voice said, "This is A Course in Miracles. Please take notes." And her name was Helen Schuckman, and she was a professor of medical psychology at Columbia University in New York, and she worked for a man who was also her friend, and his name was Bill Thetford. And they were friends, and she told him that she was kind of worried because she heard this voice in her mind that said, "This is A Course in Miracles, please take notes." And Bill, being her friend, wanted to help her and said, how about you go ahead and write down what this voice has to say, and we'll take a look at it, and based on what we see, or what we read, we'll see what to do about the situation. If it's really nuts, we'll just get rid of the paper. So she went ahead and wrote down what that voice had to say. And the first thing that it had to say was the introduction to the book, to A Course in Miracles. So it's the very first real text that came, the first real sentences that came to Helen Schuckman when she first started writing down what is within A Course in Miracles. And so I will read out the introduction, and I welcome you to read as well, along with this. So it says, "This is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened, Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So that is the introduction to the whole Course in Miracles, this big book, this big over 1,000 page book. That's the introduction, which is really only about 2 paragraphs long. And so let's review it a little bit. There's a lot going on here. It might seem very simple, and it is, but it'll be good to clarify it a little bit. So it says this is a Course in Miracles. Now, when we think about the word course, one obvious definition that comes into mind is like a college course, or a course that you take at your local college or a community college, or a class. We think of a class. So that's one way of thinking of a course. Another way of thinking of a course is kind of like a race course, or the course that a river takes, like a path. So A Course in Miracles is sort of like a class about miracles, but it's more than just a class. It's like a full pathway about learning about miracles. So when we say A Course in Miracles, the whole idea of A Course in Miracles comes out really kind of like a college course almost, or some kind of class that we're taking. And so it's given in that sort of language, and that's further said here. It says it is a required course, and it's very similar almost to a college syllabus, where when you go to a college, somebody might say, you have these prerequisites. You have to take certain courses. They're required before you move on to take another course. So if you want to become a doctor, you have to take some biology classes. They're required courses. So again, we're seeing that sort of educational type of language here. And further, as we move on, it says only the time you take it is voluntary. So it's a required course, but you kind of can take it anytime. That's voluntary. That's what's up to you. But what isn't up to you is the course itself. And it goes on to say, free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. So free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. So when we think about, we cannot establish the curriculum. What is this word curriculum? It's kind of an interesting word. And again, it goes really well along with the idea of a course, like a college course or any kind of set of classes that one has to take in order to become the thing they want to become. So if I want to become a biology major, there are certain required classes that I must take, some lessons I must learn in order to be qualified to have a major in biology. So in the same way, if I want to learn math, there are certain lessons. Let's say I want to learn how to do geometry. There's going to be certain basic lessons I have to learn, even addition, subtraction, angles, certain terms. There's all kinds of things I have to learn, not just one lesson, but multiple lessons put together can help me to learn geometry. So there's a curriculum involved, and a curriculum is basically a set of lessons. It's like the content of what's in the course. So we know that we're reading A Course in Miracles. We're taking A Course in Miracles. Now, what is the content of that course? What does the course consist of? It consists of a curriculum. So what's the curriculum? What's the content of the course? That's what the curriculum is. It's what the lessons that we are to take in order to be able to say that we understand or are able to do what A Course in Miracles calls miracles. So it's A Course in Miracles. This is everything we need to know in order to be able to, you can even say, perform miracles. Now we'll come to learn what a miracle is. It's not exactly how maybe we think of it right now. It's quite different. And A Course in Miracles has its own way of teaching us what a miracle really is. So it says free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. So again, you cannot I can't establish what these lessons are going to be. If I want to learn math, I can't establish what math I want to learn in order to get to geometry or further calculus. There are certain things that I have to learn in order for me to learn calculus. So if I want to learn miracles as being taught by A Course in Miracles, if I want to learn those, I can't make up the lessons. I have to learn the lessons that are required, that have already been made up for me to learn about miracles and learn how to perform them. And so this course tells us right at the outset that this is something everybody is going to have to learn, really. We'll see the magnitude of this course. It's not really, it's saying it's a required course. So what it means is everybody who can read, basically, anybody who's alive, are going to have to learn these lessons, and that there's multiple versions of this course. Just what you read in this book that says A Course in Miracles isn't really, isn't the only version of this course. So what this course aims to teach is taught in many other ways and is required. So you can learn this course without ever picking up the book if you learn the lessons that are contained in it, the lessons that this book aims to teach. You can learn those in other ways. You don't only have to learn them through here. However, they are in here, and we can learn them, and we can choose when to take them. The time to take them is voluntary, yet the actual information, the actual lessons that we must learn, those are not up to us. Those lessons we will have to learn through a higher teacher, our higher mind, our higher self, or through a spiritual master. That's what we're learning from this book, is it's coming from Jesus. So we're going to learn from him what, or Holy Spirit, if you want to look at it that way, or our higher mind. That's where we're going to learn these lessons. That's who we're learning from. So let me go on here. It says, the course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. So this is really important. This is only 2 sentences here, but they're so important that I would like to share some thoughts about it. Now remember, what I'm sharing here is just my own commentary. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying. This is what I feel about it, and just based on my own thinking and having studied the course for some years. This is where I'm at. So feel free to interpret the course the way you feel is correct. Ultimately, whatever is true will be true, and so I'm just stating the things I believe are true from what I read. So I invite you to just interpret this the way you want. And what I'm saying about these lines is what I believe to be a good interpretation of it, and I'm basing it on what I've read throughout A Course in Miracles and my study of it. So I'm just trying to be helpful, and I'm just trying to be of service, so that it can be easier to grasp the meaning a little bit right from the beginning. That's my aim. But of course, what the book says here, the sentences written here, you can always just read these sentences, read these pages, and come up with your own examples, your own understanding of what those things may mean to you. So don't feel like you have to be stuck with my explanations or meanings or whatever. So yeah. So over here it says, the course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. So it makes a lot of sense that you can't teach somebody what love, you can't teach the meaning of love. You can be an example of love, you can be loving, but it's hard to teach somebody the meaning of love, especially in words. You can write all the words you want, but to teach somebody the meaning of love is very difficult. And what it says here, it says it's even beyond. It doesn't even say it's difficult. It's beyond what can be taught. Can you learn what love is? Yes, you can learn it, but it's not teachable. Is what it's saying. It's saying you can pick it up, you can absorb it, you can become it, but I can't teach you that. This book cannot teach you that. However, it says it does aim at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So this book does aim to remove the blocks to the presence of the awareness of love's presence, removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And it goes on to say that love's presence, love itself, is your natural inheritance. It is your natural inheritance. So really what it's saying is that if we remove certain blocks within us, then we will naturally become aware of the presence of love. And it goes on to say the opposite of love is fear. But what is all encompassing can have no opposites. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all encompassing can have no opposites. So it is basically saying that love is all encompassing. It encompasses everything. Love. What a powerful thing that is. I mean, it's like during the day, it's like the sunlight permeates everything. You can see the sun coming through the window, you know. It permeates, the light permeates everything when it's light outside, when it's not being blocked, you know. At night, the light gets blocked because the earth itself gets in the way of the sun, the sunlight. But it doesn't mean the sun is gone. The sun is still there. Its light is still present. It just, we're not able to access it because the earth is literally blocking. It's in the way. So as an example, we can say that we have certain blocks within us to be able to perceive, to be able to be aware of the presence of love. So it's saying love is always there. Love is always there, but we have some kind of block towards it. So all we really need to do is remove the blocks. In fact, we don't remove the blocks. What the course aims at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So it's not asking us to remove the blocks. It's teaching us what to do, what to learn, so that those blocks get removed from us. So it's really important to remember that we don't have to remove these blocks. That's not up to us. But there are certain things we need to understand and learn in order for those blocks to be removed. And they will be removed as we learn more about A Course in Miracles and learn more about its teachings and learn how to follow them. We can learn to become aware of the presence of love, which is always there, always there. No matter how bad you may feel, no matter how upset or in pain or suffering you may feel, what A Course in Miracles is really saying here is that no matter what you're feeling, that love is there. It's very much present, and the block is the only thing that's getting in the way. Whether that block is your experience of pain or fear or anxiety or worry, whatever that experience may be that's not love or not loving, if that experience or if those thought patterns behind that, if those thought patterns and memories behind the pain is gone, then you will experience love because love is already there. So something is blocking it, really. And then it goes on to say, this course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So how can that sentence mean that herein lies the peace of God? How come the peace of God lies within these words? The words being, nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. And in that lies the peace of God. All right, well, let's think about it a little bit in a little different way. When it says nothing real can be threatened, it means something that can be threatened means something can be diminished. Something can be made worse than what it is. So, for example, if I were to set something on fire, then whatever I set on fire, if it burns down to a crisp, that thing that I burnt down was threatened. I threatened it and it got destroyed, whatever that was. But it's saying here, nothing real can be threatened. So clearly they're not talking about something that can be burnt. Now, a flame can get rid of a very strong fire, can pretty much burn down anything. Any material, any matter, it can burn it down. Now it says that nothing real can be threatened. So it's saying that whatever is real, anything that is real, if you look at the opposite of this, if you kind of invert the sentence, it is saying that everything that's real is eternal. It can never be threatened. It's invulnerable. Things that are real are invulnerable. The thing that is real is invulnerable. It is powerful. It is all powerful. And we referred to it earlier, that love is all encompassing. Whatever is all encompassing can have no opposite. Even though fear is the opposite of love, what is all encompassing can have no opposite. So therefore, if love is all encompassing, it can have no opposite. So over here it says, it rewords it in a different way. Nothing real can be threatened. So it's saying that real love, if love is real, that real love can never be threatened. It can't be diminished. The real love cannot go away. And nothing unreal exists. So it's saying that nothing other than love exists. Nothing else exists except that love. So that's where the peace comes from. If we can put our trust in this phrase, if we're not feeling it right now, or if we don't believe it right now, the idea of it, just kind of we allow ourselves to think about this and just absorb it. That maybe I can think of it this way, is that love is real. Nothing else exists except for love. And love can never be diminished. And in that lies the peace of God. So that makes us feel pretty good, I think. It made me feel good, at least. Is that knowing that, and trusting that the only thing that really exists is love, and that it has no opposite, and nothing else exists. This feels pretty good. And it can never be destroyed. It can never be lessened. That's a profound thing. If that is true, it's amazing. And A Course in Miracles is saying it's true. So I'm not asking you to believe in these words. I'm not asking you to agree with them. But they claim to be true, and if we follow them, perhaps we'll learn that they are true. And I don't see any downside to learning that love is all there is. It's only an upside. So that is the introduction, and now we're going to move into move into chapter 1 itself.